How to make a WUB sound and make some variations of it in Serum. For the main ADSR, I set a fast attack and made it a little softer. Set the decay to 700 milliseconds and set the release to 1 second. On oscillator A, I added a sine wave from basic shapes and pitched it down by 2 octaves and enabled FM mode. On oscillator B, I added another sine wave and turned off the volume. And then I made the xylophone shape, set it to trigger and mapped it to the FM from oscillator A. I set the rate to 1 bar for this, but it's up to personal taste and arrangement whether you want to increase or decrease the rate. For the effects section, I mixed in some soft clip distortion, but only for the low end. Delay with about 60% feedback, 16th and 8th notes on ping pong mode and enabled it for the highs, and the mix is set to 40%. I added some hyperdimension, compression with the multiband button on, and a low-pass filter that I set to 2000 Hz, and reverb with a long decay because I want a more atmospheric sound. I set the low cut to around 50%, turned off the high cut, and mapped the LFO to the reverb mix. Outside Serum, I added Neutron 3's Transient Shaper and used the Clear Transients preset, Neutron 3's Exciter, Saturated Midrange, and also 9's Imager, Enhanced Space. You can experiment with variations. I made 5 variations to show some examples. For the first one, I changed the wavetable of oscillator B and mapped the LFO to the position on the second oscillator. For the second variation, I pitched the second oscillator down by 1 octave, set the unison to 8, and selected allophones and mapped the LFO for the wavetable position again. For the third variation, I pitched the octave setting down by 2, set the unison to 8, selected ethers, set the warp mode to mirror, mapped the LFO to the wavetable position, created another LFO, and mapped it to the warp mode. For the fourth variation, I selected Monster 3, pitched it down by 2 octaves, unison is still set to 8, warp mode is set to awesome, left the wavetable position in its default, and changed the filter to CMB HL6 and increased the drive. For the last variation, I selected Grimace, pitched it down by 2 octaves, set the unison to 12, set the wavetable position to 67, set the warp mode to mirror and mapped an LFO for movement, and changed the filter to Foreman 3 and added some drive.